We have a lot to talk about in today's MLB recap. The White Sox are continuing on their journey of testing just how faithful their fans are because, wow, their fans are not happy with some of the recent trades. Mookie Betts is in some hot water after some recent comments, and staying with the Dodgers, they just made a trade with the Yankees as I'm recording this intro. Again, all of that in today's MLB recap. We post these almost every single day, so do me a favor. If you like baseball, hit that subscribe button because we're so close to 500,000 subs. And also, over the last few days, I posted a two-part series of ranking the best 20-year-olds and 30-year-olds in all of Major League Baseball, so make sure you guys watch that after today's recap. Oh my goodness, we have some breaking news. Bobby Witt Jr. and the Kansas City Royals are in agreement on an 11-year, $288.7 million contract, and if he goes all the way to 14 years, this contract has a total value of $377.7 million. Bobby Witt Jr. just got paid, and this is the richest contract ever given out by the Royals. Good for them. So I wanted to talk about this first and foremost just to get it out the way. As you can see, Roki Sasaki over there on the right, he's rocking out with Padres uniform, and if you guys have no idea who Roki Sasaki is, he's a 22-year-old megastar who once nearly threw back-to-back perfect games. He threw a 19 strikeout perfect game, and then in the next start, he threw 8 more perfect innings before being taken out by the manager. That's 17 consecutive perfect innings. He throws 100 plus. He's got a devastating splitter. Roki is going to be a stud when he gets posted next year or the year after, but the reason why he's in Padres gear, it's pretty simple. Yu Darvish gave him that gear. It's not like he's telling everyone, hey, I'm going to San Diego. So yeah, I just wanted to go over that real quick. Now, before we talk about why Mookie Betts is in some hot water, we have to talk about the fact that Carlos Santana is yet again back in the AL Central, but this time it's with the Minnesota Twins, and this breaks my heart as a Guardians fan because last year, at 37 years old, Carlos Santana was still pretty good. He had 33 doubles, 23 home runs, 86 RBIs, and a 103 OPS plus. He was much better in terms of the power when he got traded to the Brewers. He had 11 home runs in 52 games and a near 110 OPS plus. And also, he's always going to take his walks, so the Minnesota Twins, they're just trying to get some depth in their roster. Coming up next, another former Cleveland player, Phil Maton. He has been so good for the Astros, and I really hate this guy because he's part of the reason why Miles Straw is on the Guardians. He was in that trade with Yainer Diaz. We got smoked in that one, but anyways, I digress. This is not good for the rest of baseball. Phil Maton had a 10.1 strikeouts per nine last year with a 3 ERA. So if you know anything about the Rays, they use their voodoo magic to turn good players into extra good players. So I think Phil Maton, he might win a Cy Young as a relief pitcher. Obviously, I'm joking, but the Rays, they're going to use their voodoo witchcraft to turn Phil Maton into one of the best relievers we've seen in quite some time. You can bet on it. I promise you we're going to talk about the White Sox trades and Mookie Betts in just a second, but the A's, they have traded for Ross Stripling. So Ross Stripling, he was on the Giants last year, and he was not good at all. And that was surprising because the majority of his career, he's been pretty solid. But last year, his ERA ballooned to a 5.4 ERA. The strikeouts, he's never been a high strikeout guy unless we're talking about 2018 with the Dodgers. But since that point, he's been about a 7.5 to 9 strikeouts per nine. But last year, the strikeouts went down, the walks went up, the home runs per nine went up, and that's why he almost had a near 5.5 ERA. So he's going to join the A's pitching staff. They've already signed Alex Wood, so they're trying to get some depth. And then some other news, Mason Miller, who I really like. He just turned 25 years old. He's a flame-throwing starting pitcher. The A's, in their infinite wisdom, they are now going to use him as their closer, according to all of the rumors. I don't like this move at all. I feel like Mason Miller could potentially be the ace of the A's going forward, but maybe they're just trying to build up his arm because he's coming back from injury. I don't like that if he's the closer. He's too nasty to not be a starting pitcher. So White Sox fans are not very happy with the recent moves by their franchise, and some of them have even called it dumb. So let's go over them real quick. The Mariners, they were at it again. The Mariners picked up the White Sox rookie from last year, Gregory Santos, who was really good last year. And in exchange, the White Sox are getting right-hander Prelander Berroa and also Zach DeLoach. Let's talk about those guys real quick. So like I mentioned, the Mariners picked up 24-year-old Gregory Santos from the White Sox, and White Sox fans are kind of left confused by this because Gregory was really good last year. In 60 games, Gregory turned in a 3.3 ERA, and if you take a look at the advanced analytics, he had a 2.65 FIP. That is elite. That puts him in the same company with guys like Felix Bautista and other nasty relief pitchers, and the reason why his FIP was so low is the dude almost never allowed home runs, and he lowered his walk rate. He found the command last year, and he throws pretty hard as well. I don't know why the White Sox gave up on this kid, but I guess Prelander Berroa, or whatever his name is, they're trying to bet on him. So I completely botched this guy's name, Prelander Berroa. That's how you say his name. This is who the White Sox are hoping will fill in the void left by Gregory Santos. 23-year-old Prelander, he had some pretty sick stats in the minors, so the strikeouts strikeouts, they're always going to be there. But just like any up-and-coming strikeout machine, usually a walk issue is in sync with that, and it's no different with Prelander. But he was pretty good last year in Double-A. He turned in a 2.89 ERA in 65 innings, and again, the strikeout numbers were ridiculous. He had 101 strikeouts in 65 innings. That's a 14 strikeouts per 9. That's insane. At the same time, the White Sox also picked up a 25-year-old outfielder by the name of Zach DeLoach, and he's got some major thump in that bat. But just like any young prospect who has some thump in that bat, the majority of the time, a strikeout issue exists, and the same is for Zach DeLoach, who had 173 strikeouts in 138 games last year at AAA, but he had 30 doubles and 23 home runs with 8 stolen bases, so he's a pretty good athlete, and they're hoping that if Oscar Colas does not break out, Zach DeLoach, he can fill in that void in right field. But I'm not going to lie, if I'm a Mariners fan, I am hyped about this because a Gregory Santos to Matt Brash to Andres Munoz bullpen, that is one of the best 7, 8, 9 innings in all of Major League Baseball. That is a nasty three-headed monster who you do not want to face when your team is losing. I don't know if the White Sox care because I don't know what their approach is, but Prelander, he's got a high strikeout ceiling. Zach DeLoach, he might be able to fill in some gaps if Oscar Colas does not break out. So that's the first trade. They made another one. We'll talk about that right now. So the White Sox picked up the younger brother of David Fletcher, the former fan favorite with the Angels. So Dominic Fletcher, he is going to Chicago in exchange for a right-handed pitcher by the name of Cristian Mena. Let's talk about him real quick because he's going to the Diamondbacks. A lot of White Sox fans do not like this trade because they had to give up Cristian Mena. Now, if you take a look at his stats in the minors, he's been getting absolutely rocked, but he's 21 years old and he already made AAA. So, of course, we got to talk about the fact that he had a 6 ERA, but if we take a look at the strikeout numbers, he had a 10.5 strikeouts per 9 as a 21-year-old in AAA. That's 156 strikeouts and 133 innings. The reason why his ERA was so inflated is because, of course, he's got a walk issue. He had a 4.3 walks per 9. That's not going to cut it if you're allowing a ton of hits on top of it as well. He had an 11.9 hits per 9. Dominic Fletcher is not the most imposing figure in baseball. He's a 5'6" short king. I'm 5'8", 5'9", so we welcome short kings on this channel. But he was very impressive with a cup of coffee season last year. In his first 93 big league at-bats, he hit 301 with 2 home runs and a 115 OPS plus. So you're going to take what you can get offensively with Dominic Fletcher because his calling card is defense. He is a wizard out there defensively. So White Sox fans are upset simply because these are moves for the future and they want to compete today. The White Sox have been a complete embarrassment over the last few seasons. Tony La Russa, he was blamed for everything. Then he left and the White Sox were still not run very well. Kind of have to chalk up 2024 as another rebuild year, and I feel bad for White Sox fans because there's some good people. I like Chicago White Sox fans. All right, let's talk about this Yankees and Dodgers trade. I have no idea what the Dodgers are doing because it looks like they might be going into the 2024 season with one lefty in their bullpen, and the reason why I say that, so they just traded for Caleb Ferguson, and this is after they got Victor Gonzalez from the Dodgers, so the Yankees are quite literally gutting the Dodgers bullpen of lefties. So like I mentioned, the Yankees are getting lefty Caleb Ferguson, and in return, the Dodgers are getting 2 prospects, and at the time of this recording, we have no idea who those prospects are, but they're being labeled as kind of fringe top 30 prospects, so maybe not the biggest names. It's pretty easy to see why the Yankees went for Caleb Ferguson. He's a hard-throwing, tall lefty who excels at getting the ball on the ground. He was top 20% in ground ball percentages, and he was top 3% at not allowing barrels. That's huge for a guy who's going to be playing in Yankee Stadium. You want the ball on the ground and you want to miss barrels as often as possible to avoid those cheap home runs to right field, that short porch. So Caleb Ferguson, to me, this is a fantastic pickup to the Yankees bullpen, who now features 2 former LA lefties and Victor Gonzalez and Caleb Ferguson. And then finally, let's show this Mookie Betts clip that has the entire baseball community either beefing or siding with him. Let's see it.
I mean, every game is going to be the other team's World Series. I mean, it is what it is. It's what we signed up for.
To me, I fully understand what he was going for. I guess the sentiment is, yeah, he might not be wrong, but did he have to say it out loud? Probably not. But that does it for today's recap. Thank you all so much for watching until the end. If you enjoyed and you have not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. And also, if you're bored, I did post those rankings of the best 20-year-olds and 30-plus-year-olds in all of baseball. I'll link it right next to my head. Go watch it. It's a lot of fun.